Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Journey Church, the out-of-the-box church for people everywhere. Today, we're going to take you to the very top of this amazing, beautiful barn to share an incredible story about a group of friends. This group was made up of some fit, healthy, and strong individuals, all except for one that was paralyzed. We really don't know how it happened, and we don't know if he was born that way or if some tragic accident happened somewhere along in his life. Regardless, what we do know is that this paralyzed man had some pretty devoted friends. Well, if you've ever had some truly devoted friends, then you know how much of a difference they can really make in your life. And for this paralyzed guy, his life really had come to a dead end and he had given up hope of a miracle. And what happened next is going to blow your mind. But before we get to that, I want to introduce you to two guys who have become lifelong friends. And it's actually kind of funny how they met. And I think when most people knew them in the beginning, they never would have guessed that they would have become the kind of friends that they are today. So hang on tight because we are headed over to the mountains of western Montana to hear the story of some unlikely friends. Let's go.
Can we talk about that?
Ah,
My name is Nick Corson, and I've known Gerhard Rettel since we were in middle school. About 30 years ago, I guess. Makes me feel really old.
name's Gerhard. Been on quite a few adventures together, caused some trouble, mainly in high school.
For whatever reason, I don't know why, but him and I never really got along all that well. He kind of picked on me, and I kind of picked on him, and about in 7th grade, we got in a little disagreement, a little fight after school, and ever since then, it was like all of our differences just kind of went away, and just started hanging out more and more, and became best friends. So hung out all the same people in high school, and right out of high school we were pretty much not really tied to the hip, but we were best friends by then. And I've known him, just seems like anywhere I went, he was there, and same with me.
And then we just been friends ever since, and we always do stuff together.
I asked him to be my best man in my wedding, and after that, our kids were born, and we'd always just, even though we took different paths in life and moved away. And
One time, went back to West Virginia to go visit Nick for his birthday. Tiffany flew me out to surprise him. And then him and I ended up going on a driving adventure to go rescue a gal and her horse, a friend of Tiffany's. And we traveled like 9 states in 2 days and battled snow and cold, and I'd do it again. It's just the adventures we do together, I don't regret, and I enjoyed all of them.
We were always really close. So
All right, so you guys got any funny stories on each other?
none that I can think of right now.
Yeah.
He was going through a real hard time with his business, and he was closing it down, and he called me up and said, "Hey, can I borrow some money?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. How much do you need? I'll help you out in any way." And within a very short time, I sent him the money, and well, not even sure if he's paid me back for it or not, but I'm not worried about it. You know, he's certainly paid me back in other ways. So just so happens that Gerhardt's needed a job again, and so here he is again, working for me and helping me out and being my right-hand man. The best part about all of it is that we're out here in nature, enjoying God's country, and I get to do it with my best friend. So can't really ask for much more than that.
We might have our moments, but for the most part, we do well. We get along great. I would have been driving my 85 Nissan Standard Cab 2-wheel drive pickup. Probably could have been snowy.
Yeah. We were heading south into town the time that I'm thinking about, at least. I don't know, there's several, but we were racing down the North Hill, and I had a little Ranger pickup, he had a little Nissan pickup, and we were coming around a curve, and it was 2-lane, and someone pulled out in front of Gerhardt. Well, Gerhardt came over toward me, and I didn't have anywhere else to go, so I scooted over. It just so happened there was a turn lane there with a sign, you know, warning about the turn or whatever. I launched my truck over the median and ran over the sign, landed in the oncoming traffic, and came back over and promptly went to his house.
Yeah.
Might have hit a Green Ranger in his garage, if I remember right.
Yeah, we did. We hid that in there. It was there for like 2 weeks.
One thing about it, I like it, is that since we've known each other for so long, it's like, well, we don't have to talk. You know,
Yeah,
if we don't want to, we don't have to. We
Yeah.
just sit there and we're good.
Yeah.
But
There's something pretty inspiring when you hear about people that are really devoted to each other, who have the kind of friendship that has lasted for so long. And I wanted you to see and hear the story of some real life friends so that you have a fresh picture in your mind of what devoted friends look like as we circle back around to the story that I mentioned earlier. It's a story that we find in the Bible, and we climbed all the way up here to the top of this barn, as far up as we could possibly get near the roof, because the roof actually plays a part in this story. And so this story all started when Jesus was traveling around the area of the Galilee, healing and teaching throughout the villages. So here's the story from Luke chapter 5, verse 17 through 26. One day when Jesus was teaching, some Pharisees and teachers of the religious law were sitting nearby. It seemed like these men showed up from every village in all of Galilee and Judea, as well as from Jerusalem. And the Lord's healing power was strong with Jesus. Well, some men came carrying a paralyzed man on a sleeping mat. They tried to take him inside to Jesus, but they couldn't reach him because of the crowd. So they went up to the roof and they took off some tiles. Then they lowered the sick man on his mat down into the crowd right in front of Jesus. Seeing their faith, Jesus said to the man, "Young man, your sins are forgiven." But the Pharisees and teachers of the religious law said to themselves, "Who does he think he is? That's blasphemy. Only God can forgive sins." Well, Jesus, he knew what they were thinking, so he asked them a question. Why do you ask questions like this in your hearts? Is it easier to say your sins are forgiven or stand up and walk? So I will prove to you that the Son of Man has the authority to forgive sins. Then Jesus turned to the paralyzed man and he said, "Stand up, pick up your mat, and go home." And immediately, as everyone watched, the man, he jumped up, picked up his mat, and went home praising God. Everyone was gripped with great wonder and awe, and they praised God, exclaiming, "We have seen amazing things today." There are so many cool things happening in this story, but the thing that I really wanted to zero in on is the friends of this paralyzed man. I mean, during the time and place that this story took place, the people were living in small homes built mostly from stone. The area was very dry and there was really not a lot of wood available for building. Nothing like the barn we're in now that's built out of all wood and timbers. So those homes, they had rock walls and flat roofs. There was usually a narrow staircase or stairwell on the outside of the building that led up to the roof area, which usually just served as extra living space, kind of like a deck on top of the house. So usually that flat roof was built with a couple of large timbers going across as supports, and then some smaller wood and branches filled in the spaces over the top, and then they would lay some stone tiles and clay to kind of complete the surface up there. Very different than a lot of construction in North America. And what we see in this story are some really devoted friends. They know that their buddy is paralyzed, and they've heard about Jesus. Surely they were sitting around one day just talking, and then one thing leads to another, and they hatch a plan to carry their friend to go and see Jesus. And you wonder, like, were all of them excited? Was it just one guy's idea? Was he confident that if they could just get him in front of Jesus that he would be healed? It's kind of fun to speculate. So they show up at the place where Jesus is teaching, and they encounter a big problem. There's a huge crowd and the house is packed. There is no way they're getting him into that house. Well, this is where we start to see the real grit and determination of these friends show up. Who knows exactly how it went, but probably one of these guys looked up and pointed to the stairs, like, "Look, let's get him up there on the roof." Probably bringing up more questions about how exactly they're going to get him up there. This guy they're carrying on a mat. Was there 2 guys? Was there 4 guys? How are they wrestling him up this set of stairs? And you just wonder how it all went. But I just picture that there's probably one of those friends that's the trust me, I got a good idea, right? There's always one of those friends in every group pushing their way up the stairs and then up onto the roof. They reach the point of no return. They're now up there, and then they get this idea. Let's tear a hole in the roof and lower him down. Then there's no way Jesus could not see him this way, right? It's not explicitly stated in the text, but most scholars actually believe that this house that Jesus was teaching in was Peter's house. And it makes you wonder if the paralyzed guy was looking at his friends like, are you sure you guys want to do this? I mean, this is Peter's house. He's one of the guys. And you imagine one of the other friends like, he'll forgive us. And besides, I can come back tomorrow and fix it. I'm great at patching roofs, right? I don't know, but it's fun. So the roof is torn open and the man is lowered down, and Jesus looks up, and the scripture says something really cool. He saw their faith. Did you catch that? Jesus noticed the faith of the friends. Yeah, there was a paralyzed guy being lowered on a mat through the roof, and it was a big distraction. And surely it was messy. But in the midst of all of that, what did Jesus do? It says that he saw their faith and he forgave the man and then went on to heal him. You know what that means? That means burn! It is so cold here. We had a cold dip a lot of places across the country, and we are dipping down into like Fahrenheit -10, -15 tonight, and it is cold in the top of the barn. All right, back to the story. So tell me these guys did not become legends in their town. I mean, yeah, it was a great story that the man was healed, for sure. But somehow, I bet the legendary story of the guys who tore the roof apart to get him down to Jesus was a popular story for generations to come. In fact, you know how I know that? Because here we are, over 20 generations later, and we're still telling this story. As you reflect on this story and the kind of friendship that we saw between Nick and Gerhardt, I think we can have a tendency to think something like, gosh, I sure wish I had those kind of friends. And the thing is, wanting those kind of friends for ourselves is not a bad thing at all. But I want to challenge you. Rather than looking, out there, wishing that you had more of those kind of friends, what would it take for you to become this kind of friend to others? The kind of friend that is really, at times could be desperate to help your friends get to Jesus. To be committed to find a way to help your friends, even if it's hard and there's tons of obstacles in the way of helping them. The kind of friend that's willing to put yourself out there and make a bit of a mess if that's what it takes to get the friends that you have the kind of help that they need. There are so many lessons that we could glean from this story, but I really want to encourage you to read it again for yourself and let God teach you about becoming the kind of friend that Jesus would see great faith in. And then look for ways to go and try it out this week. Well, that's it for this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you never miss another one. And remember, you can always watch all of our content on demand over on our website at jointhejourneychurch.com. Also wanted to take note of a couple of links in the description below. The first one is a link that you can sign up for our weekly guide service and newsletter. The second link you're going to see there is a place to sign up for the study guides that go along with each episode. So every week you can grab those and dig deeper on your own. Hey, we're so glad that you tuned in and joined us today. And I just want to encourage you to go out and be a great friend this week. And hopefully wherever we join you next week is warmer. Look at that. Oh, this is called Feel My Pain. It is terrible here. My feet are frozen. My fingers are frozen because I had to push buttons and I couldn't use gloves. And okay, going a little bit crazy. Been in the cold too long. And it's time to pack this operation up and go south. If you live somewhere where the sun is shining, message me. Tell me how to get there. All right, peace. See you next week.